Welcome back to Investing Talk Podcast. Today we are digging into the source material on CoreWeave, the AI cloud infrastructure player that's just, exploded onto the scene. And the big question everyone seems to be asking right now is pretty simple. Is CoreWeave a good time to buy? Before we jump in, if you want us to look into a specific company next time, please do leave a comment below and let us know. We really are listening. Okay, so let's try and unpack this. CoreWeave, it's this phenomenal yet pretty volatile growth story, isn't it? I mean, it's a pure play on this huge need for AI computing power, riding these massive tailwinds. But the material we've looked at, it shows a real conflict. You've got spectacular contract growth on one side, but then significant financial leverage, high volatility, and honestly, some pretty concerning insider selling on the other.
Yeah, it's fascinating, really. What we're seeing is the market trying to value a company based on, let's say, potential future monopoly profits in AI. That's the dream, right? But its current balance sheet structure, well, it's forcing a serious reality check. So our mission today is to analyze these conflicting signals. We'll look at the recent news, the financial health snapshots from our sources, that troubling insider activity, and those critical upcoming catalysts. The goal is to help you evaluate this, let's be frank, extremely high-risk environment.
Right. Let's start with the bull case then. Because the growth narrative here isn't just strong, it feels almost unprecedented. When we look at how CoreWeave is actually turning that, theoretical demand for AI infrastructure into real business.
Yeah.
Well, the numbers are kind of dizzying.
They absolutely are. I mean, the key piece of news that really shifted the conversation was that massive deal with OpenAI, $15.9 billion. That single deal basically drove their total contract backlog to a staggering $30.1 billion.
$30 billion. That number's just huge. It's almost hard to wrap your head around. And our sources highlight that about half of that $30 billion is expected to actually turn into revenue over just the next 24 months. That gives them this incredible, almost you could say defensive level of revenue visibility way out into the future.
Exactly. And we're already seeing the impact, right? If you look at the Q2 results reported back in August, the company delivered, wait for it, 206.7% year-over-year revenue growth. That stampede of demand for AI cloud infrastructure, it's clearly flowing straight to their top line.
Okay, but while that top line growth sounds amazing, we should probably note they did miss EPS expectations by about 7 cents in that Q2 report. But I suppose when you're growing revenue at over 200%, the market tends to forgive those little near-term earnings bumps, right? Their own forecast for 2025 is $5.25 billion in revenue. That seems to set them on a multi-year path toward double-digit billion-dollar sales.
And that trajectory, well, that's exactly why the analysts have been getting so aggressively bullish lately. Looking at the data from August 2025, you see this significant positive shift in sentiment. Arete Research, for instance, upgraded the stock to a strong buy. And the price targets just soared. Northland Securities, they raised their target from $85 all the way up to $165. Mizuho boosted theirs to $150. That tells you the institutional street really believes that revenue conversion story is, well, real.
Okay, so that's the beautiful, expansive growth story. It sounds fantastic. But every hyper-growth story comes with immense risk, doesn't it? Let's flip the script now and talk about the pressure points.
Yeah.
Starting with just the sheer whiplash this stock gave investors over the summer.
Oh, it was a brutal correction, absolutely. The stock surged to all-time highs in late June, right? Completely fueled by that contract momentum. But then, bam, it corrected sharply. Concerns about overvaluation, that high debt load we mentioned, broader market jitters, it all added up. The shares ended up nearly 39% lower from that peak. That kind of volatility, well, that's the market basically screaming it's nervous about the valuation up there.
Yeah, 39% is quite a drop. And if the volatility wasn't enough, the fundamental red flag that really jumps out from our sources is what we could call the debt albatross. Okay, so the backlog is $30 billion. Why is the market focusing so heavily on the $14.5 billion debt load? Is that like a communication failure or is it a legitimate risk?
Oh, it's absolutely the core legitimate risk. Think about it. CoreWeave's aggressive expansion needs colossal amounts of capital. They have to buy those critical GPUs from companies like NVIDIA, build out these massive data centers super fast. So they're leveraging themselves heavily to capture this market. And the result is that mounting $14.5 billion debt load. Now, critically, Contrast that with their cash position, just $1.1 billion. The debt outstrips the cash by, what, over tenfold? That kind of discrepancy raises fundamental questions about, servicing that debt liquidity if the environment were to suddenly change.
Right. Tenfold is a big difference. And compounding that debt concern is the insider selling spree that we saw documented in September.
Yeah.
Now, insider selling shares isn't automatically a sign of doom. But the sheer volume here, it really suggests some serious profit-taking by early holders. And, well, it creates distrust, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's exactly the key takeaway. It's the volume and the direction of flow. The sources documented major insider Brandon McBee selling a massive 625,000 shares. This was in 2 separate transactions in mid-September at average prices between like $99 and $118. That totaled over $81 million in proceeds.
$81 million. Yeah, that's not exactly pocket change. And we also saw the CFO, Nitin Agrawal, selling, 38,422 shares around the $115 to $125 mark. Now, our sources did note these are largely programmed sales, these 10b5-1 plans. Can you maybe quickly explain what that means and why it still creates a near-term trading problem for investors?
Sure. So a 10b5-1 plan is basically a prearranged plan. It allows insiders to sell a set number of shares at set times or prices in the future. It's designed to protect them from accusations of trading on, non-public information. Fair enough. But here's the kicker. Even though they're pre-programmed, the fact remains that millions of shares are potentially flooding onto the market. It creates what traders call an overhang, basically, a consistent supply of stock that can limit how high the price can easily climb in the near term. And perhaps most telling, the sources pointed out there were no open market discretionary purchases by insiders disclosed, none. The flow seems to be entirely one way, out the door.
That dynamic, it leads right into a major roadblock for anyone relying on us for a definitive rating, doesn't it? The information gap. We've got this phenomenal news on contracts, analyst targets are soaring, but we seem to be missing key verified financial context.
Precisely. We're building our thesis largely on press releases and analyst estimates, which is common, but the problem is our review lacks that verifiable detailed data, specifically net income figures, cash flow metrics, solid competitive benchmarks, detailed risk factors, all directly excerpted from the company's primary public filings, the 10K or 10Q they file with the government regulators. That forced reliance on secondary sources, it prevents us from fully confirming how they actually plan to manage that massive debt load. We just don't have the government-verified picture of the balance sheet, not from these sources anyway.
That's crucial context missing for our final rating then.
Oh.
Okay, so let's shift focus a bit. Looking ahead, what are the key market events, say, over the next 3 months that could maybe address some of these issues or materially impact the stock?
Well, the immediate critical event is their upcoming Q3 2025 earnings release. That's on October 15th. Mark your calendars. This is really the moment of truth. Investors will be laser focused on 2 things. 1, CoreWeave's ability to accelerate revenue conversion from that huge $30.1 billion backlog. Can they actually do it? And 2, perhaps even more importantly, their communication strategy for managing that $14.5 billion debt. They need a credible plan for debt reduction or maybe refinancing. That's essential right now.
Okay, October 15th, got it. Beyond earnings, we also have to watch the institutional calendar, right? That can dramatically change volatility based on where the big money moves.
Absolutely. There are 2 key dates there. October 31st brings the institutional 13F filings. For our listeners, 13Fs basically reveal which major institutional managers, the big hedge funds, mutual funds, were buying or selling CoreWeave in the previous quarter. Very telling. Then, mid-November, specifically the 18th, is critical for major S&P and ETF rebalancing. If large passive funds decide to increase their allocation to CoreWeave, that triggers mandated inflows. Money just has to buy the stock, which pushes the price higher, sometimes regardless of fundamentals. And finally, maybe keep an eye on the U.S. Thanksgiving AI report on November 27th. That could just enhance visibility for the whole sector, maybe helping with year-end positioning.
Right. And naturally, a stock with this kind of momentum, it's going to be surrounded by rumors and speculation. What's the speculative chatter out there that might give it a boost, maybe independent of those Q3 results?
Yeah, the talk seems centered on 2 main areas right now. First, there's that ongoing reader of potential S&P 500 inclusion. If that actually happens, it would drive huge required passive inflows, as we just discussed. Big deal. Second, and this ties directly back to the balance sheet discussion, is speculation about a strategic equity investment.
Ah, the strategic investment. That's the rumor that could potentially resolve those debt concerns almost instantly, right?
Exactly. The rumors suggest maybe a major hyperscaler, think an Amazon or a Google or perhaps a large sovereign wealth fund, might take a significant minority stake. That kind of cash injection would instantly strengthen the balance sheet and really ease those debt pressures that are currently weighing so heavily on the stock's performance. It would be a game changer for sentiment.
Okay, so let's try and pull all this together then. We've got staggering contracts, soaring analyst targets, but also immense debt, high volatility, and significant insider profit-taking. Based on all the source material we analyzed today, what's the final verdict?
Well, CoreWeave's near-term performance, it feels like it's driven entirely by its ability to execute on that backlog and somehow manage the debt. For our final synthesis, given these strong, really conflicting signals, I mean, the bull case is truly compelling, you can't deny it. But the financial structure, the leverage, and those insider actions just introduce too much risk for comfort right now. So we have to assign an overall rating based on these sources of 4 out of 10.
Wow, okay, 4 out of 10. Why such a cautious rating, despite that, triple-digit revenue growth we talked about?
Yeah, it seems low given the growth, but we really can't rate it higher right now because, well, the people running the company are selling millions and millions of dollars worth of their own shares. And crucially, we just don't have enough verified balance sheet data from those primary government filings in our sources today to feel fully confident that the growth story alone can overcome that $14.5 billion debt load. The visibility isn't there in the reviewed material.
So what you're saying is this is definitely not a long-term holding based on this current data set we've reviewed.
Based purely on the information we have gone through today, yes. CoreWeave looks suitable, if at all, only for speculative short-term trading. It just doesn't seem structured as a sound, long-term investment opportunity without you, the listener, obtaining that full financial clarity directly from those primary SEC filings yourself.
Okay, so that puts this stock squarely in the high-reward, high-risk camp. It's driven by all the excitement around the AI boom, but fundamentally tempered by concerns about its financial health and, maybe more importantly, the actions of the C-suite themselves.
Indeed. It really forces you as an investor to confront a fundamental trade-off here.
And maybe that's the question we want to leave you mulling over today. How does a company effectively balance that aggressive debt-fueled expansion, which seems necessary to capture a massive, maybe once-in-a-generation market like AI cloud, against the immediate concerns raised when its own top executives are heading for the exits and selling their shares? That's really the tension right at the heart of the CoreWeave story today.